driven a motorcycle.
I want you to try this. Go ahead and pull that all the way back. Put your left hand right over here.
Okay.
Now imagine opposite. So twist that back, but while releasing that slowly. Yeah, so that's, you got it, yeah.
Hello, I'm Deborah Quilter. If you haven't been to my channel before, I've written 2 books on repetitive strain injury. Repetitive strain injury, or RSI, is a serious debilitating condition that can happen anywhere along the upper extremity, the fingertips, the thumb, the wrist, the forearm, the elbow, the upper arm, the shoulder, and the neck. And so you might be wondering, why did I have to learn how to ride a motorcycle? Well, there's a story behind that. One of you wanted to know why his hand kept going numb from throttling his motorcycle. I've never driven a motorcycle, so I literally had to get my hands on the handlebars to figure out what could be going on. So I went down to the Ducati showroom in Lower Manhattan, where I met Mel, who showed me everything about how the hands interact with the handlebars of a motorcycle. So I will show you how the handlebars can put your hands at risk, and at the end I'll show you ways that you can reduce that risk. Some of this advice will be on how you use your hands in your daily life, such as at the computer, using your smartphone, or using your mouse. Why would I do that? Because you can't use your other pair of hands to do what you want to do. Drive your motorcycle, play your guitar, play the piano, work on the house. Your hands do everything. So you have to take care of the hands that you have in order to do what you want to do.
Hey guys, this is Mel, and today I just wanted to kind of show you guys like how a basic operation of a motorcycle works in regards to the use of your hands. So on your right side, this is your throttle. So as you ride, you're rolling back, which implements a lot of your wrist.
The 2 pictures that you are seeing show the extreme range of motion that happens when you are throttling your motorcycle, and also for some people when they're using a computer with poor technique. And this excessive up and down movement of the wrist irritates the synovium, which is a protective lining around the tendons that go through the carpal tunnel, causing swelling. Because the carpal tunnel can't expand to accommodate the swelling, the pressure on the median nerve causes the numbness and tingling associated with carpal tunnel syndrome. And for a lot of people, this will wake them up at night.
This over here is your right brake, your front brake, that you will be using.
Would you use your middle finger for that?
So ideally when they teach in motorcycle school, you use the whole hands, but eventually you do this. For me, I like to use one finger, simply because then I'm always having a grip, and it gives me a firmer positioning in case of whatever may happen.
Okay.
Now in addition, now moving to the left side, you're using this hand a lot because this is your clutch. For those of you familiar with motorcycle riding or how a clutch works,
sustained and repetitive gripping can be hard on your hands.
like in a standard car, this is your clutch, and then you're utilizing your left foot to change the gears. Generally pushing down for first gear, halfway up for neutral, second, third, fourth, fifth. As you release the clutch on your left hand, you're also twisting with your right. So that's the basic operation in terms of moving forward. So basically it's the gears catching on. Because I'm more upright, I do have some weight on the motorcycle. It's not too bad. But other motorcycles where you're laying towards it, you're putting almost your full weight on the handlebar. Yeah, like what we call a track bike. Like for example over here, this is what we call an upright position. But with this one over here, this is kind of called a V2. So you notice with that one, the handlebars are, I was doing this. With this one, see how you're literally laying down?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're in a push-up position. So where the pressure is, where your weight is literally on top of your wrist.
Oh my
and
God.
You're still operating all the same things. You still are pulling the clutch and then releasing it slowly. So, and if you're carrying a passenger on this style of riding, you're holding up their weight too.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
They're literally leaning on top of you.
Doing push-ups is not recommended because of the amount of pressure it puts on the wrist. So you can imagine what would happen if you were doing push-ups with not only your body weight, but somebody else's body weight on top of you.
So that's why it says it depends. And then you have other motorcycles where you're more lean back. You see handlebars that are up there. But the common thing across the board with motorcycles, there is some sort of vibration.
Vibration can lead to serious hand injuries, but there are other common risk factors for repetitive strain injury that you should know. Speed, repetition, and sheer overuse. Poor posture, especially the forward head posture that you see when people are looking forward at their computers or down at their cell phones. Sitting for prolonged periods. Over 2 hours of computer use a day. Keeping your elbows bent and your palms down for prolonged periods of time, as you do when you're using a computer keyboard or mouse. Dorsiflexion and ulnar deviation, which refer to ways that you can bend your wrist. Lack of regular breaks from the repetitive activity. Poor physical conditioning. This means your muscles are out of balance, so they can't hold you in good posture. And the lack of awareness about repetitive strain injury. After all, how can you prevent a disease if you've never heard of it and don't know how to prevent it? Let's take another look at what's actually going on when you're driving the motorcycle. So as you can see, there's a lot of dorsiflexion going on the right hand and a lot of gripping on the left hand. Both of these can cause problems. So now let's take a look at what the thumb is doing, especially on the left hand, where the turn signals are.
Right turn, push to the right. Left turn, push to the left. On that, everything else is usually done with the thumb. Modern motorcycles have the horn right here. There's a little button right below here. Oh. That's the horn.
The thumb is the most critical digit on the hand. Without it, you can't grip things, and it's really painful if you get a certain disease called de Quervain's disease. The reason why I'm bringing it up here is because you really need to be careful about how you use your smartphone.
Brakes and clutches are adjustable, so that's why some people can adjust it to whatever's comfortable for them in terms of the range of motion.
Adjust your clutch and brake so your hands don't have to work so hard. There aren't that many studies on the rate of repetitive strain injury among motorcycle users, but one from the Scandinavian Journal of Medicine and Science studied Enduro athletes. Enduro bikes are a lot like dirt bikes, and they're designed for off-road endurance riding. This study found that more than half of enduro motorcycle athletes complained of overuse injuries, including Raynaud's syndrome and carpal tunnel syndrome, and the loss of grip strength. Nearly 50% of the riders complained of pain or numbness. More than 1/2 of the athletes complained of overuse injuries. So it pays to be careful. Repetitive strain injury doesn't happen overnight. It happens because of how you use your hands day in and day out, such as using a smartphone or a computer or doing other repetitive tasks that put your hands in awkward positions. So one of the things you can do to really help yourself is use good technique whenever you use your hands for anything. Here are some things you can do to reduce the risk of RSI. Keep your wrists straight. Adjust your handlebars for a more neutral grip so that you're not doing extreme ranges of motion. Don't overgrip when holding handlebars or use excessive force with your thumb. Only use the force that you need. Don't squeeze hand exercisers, rubber balls, or stretch rubber bands. It will strain your hands and also exacerbate an existing injury. Don't do wrist curls. Do strengthen the muscles of your back to use your hands and arms well. The erector spinae, the latissimus dorsi, and the rhomboids. You can do back extension exercises, lat pull downs, and rows. Never text or scroll with your thumb. Hold the phone up to you. Don't look down. Do sit tall. At the computer, don't rest your wrists on anything while you type. Let your hands float over the keys. Make sure that you use a keyboard tray so the keyboard is low enough so you don't have to lift your shoulders even slightly. Better yet, dictate whenever possible. Avoid gaming either on the computer or the phone. If you have any of these warning signs of RSI, stop the offending activity right away and see a doctor who really is expert in this area. The warning signs can include weakness in your hands or forearms, trouble gripping things, grasping things, fatigue or a lack of endurance, tingling, numbness or loss of sensation, a feeling of heaviness in your arms, difficulty opening and closing your hands, difficulty turning pages, buttoning buttons, twisting doorknobs or faucets, or holding a coffee mug. If your hands keep falling asleep, waking up with wrist pain or numb hands, a lack of control or coordination, tremors, and soreness, or mild to excruciating pain, which can be dull, achy, electrical, or stabbing. So if you have any of those symptoms, see a doctor who's expert in diagnosing RSI, and especially if you have a diagnosis of carpal tunnel syndrome, get a second opinion, because sometimes carpal tunnel syndrome emanates from the neck, not the wrist. So you need a second opinion to get the proper treatments. I'd also recommend that you take a look at the stages of injury and the red flags of injury so that you're aware of how important this is to treat early. So there you have it. I hope this video helped you understand the relationship between your motorcycle handlebar and what you might be feeling in your hands, and also other ways that you can help protect your hands in daily life. Big thanks to Mel. You can see his channel at Cafe Racer New York City. And be sure to watch the video that's coming up next for more great information on how to protect your hands.